I've been thinking lately why sometimes the way I see myself, others don't see me. You ever wondered that? For me, I think I'm a pretty good guy, and I think everybody should like me. And sometimes other people don't think I'm as good a guy, and other people don't like me as much as I think they should. I've been wondering why that is. I've been thinking a lot about it, and here on Community Care Nights, we've been talking about how our mindset affects us. And tonight we're talking about how what we think and what we do contributes to who we are. And I think the reason I don't always see myself the way others see me is because what I think isn't always what I do. And they only see what I do, they don't see what I think. I found out that thankfully I'm not the only one with this problem. There's a recent survey in the Wall Street Journal, and it talked about managers at work. And they surveyed managers, and they said, do you think you're a good manager? Do you think you're supportive and sensitive to the needs of your employees? 92% of managers said, yes, definitely, I am very good at that. Now then they went and they asked the employees that same question. Is your manager a good manager? Are they supportive and sensitive to your needs? Only 67% of employees said they had a good manager. Now, that means there's 25%, 1/4 of all managers think they're really good, and their employees don't think the same thing. How could that be? How could there be that many people? Well, there's something to learn from this. First of all, if you're in the workplace, the good news is that 2/3 of all managers are pretty good. And I guess the other good news, but not so good news, is that if you currently work for one of the people in that 33% who aren't good managers, well, you're not alone. 1/3 of humanity is suffering with you. So you have company. Well, how can this be that we see ourselves so differently than others see us, and that what we think isn't always what we do? The Apostle Paul wrote to the church at Philippi, and he talked about this issue of thinking and doing, and how our thoughts and our actions, how we can have thoughts that lead us to noble actions, and then how we can take those good thoughts and put them into use. So Paul writes this. He says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. Okay, what's the first thing he says there? He says, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. The first step that we have to take is we have to think about good things. We have to fill our minds with what courage looks like, with what integrity looks like, with what faithfulness looks like, with what love looks like, with what grace looks like, or we'll never live it out. Now, I'm not saying we should never have a bad thought in our heads or think about sad things. Here's a good way to think about it. When you have to think about sad things, that's okay. But constant negativity isn't. So grief can be healthy. And in fact, you can think about good things as you grieve. You can think about what you're thankful for. And that's why you're grieving, because you've lost something for which you were thankful, right? Because sometimes things happen in life, we have to grieve. But constant negativity is different than grief. Have you ever been around somebody and you're like, it's a beautiful day, look how the sun's shining, and they're like, I have fair skin, I'm gonna get a sunburn and freckles. And then you're like, oh, the cool wind is blowing, and on this hot day it's cooling us off, isn't that wonderful? And they're like, I have allergies, and that wind is blowing pollen right into my face, and I'm gonna not be able to see well or breathe well for the rest of the day because of all this. And then you're like, oh, look, an ice cream stand. Now we can get some ice cream, and they're like, I'm lactose intolerant, I can't have ice cream. And you're like, oh my goodness, look, this ice cream stand always also has slushies. You could get a slushie, and they're like, no, I don't want a slushie because that has too much sugar. And finally, you just give up, right? You're like, nothing will make you happy. Friends, that is, if you are around somebody, you know real quick that they're not being realistic. They're not in a healthy way encountering the challenges that life brings. They've just gone down a negative path. And it's hard to walk with somebody who just chooses to walk down that path. And here's the thing that happens. Sometimes each of us can go too far down that path. Again, we're not talking about honestly and in a healthy way dealing with life's challenges and losses. We're talking about when we let our resentment from life's challenges and life's losses drive us to a place where everything is just negative, 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 negative. If you're there, you're not going to like what people think about you because of what you're thinking about yourself, right? You're not thinking about good things. As Paul said, you're not thinking about what's true, what's noble, what's right, what's pure, what's lovely, what's admirable, what's excellent or praiseworthy. So you certainly can't do those things. So the first step is we have to intentionally think about what is good. But there's more. Then you got to do it. You got to act, because that's where those 25% of managers get hung up. They probably think a lot about their employees. They probably think a lot about how much they care for their employees. They probably think a lot about how they can make the lives of their employees better, but they probably have a lot of thoughts that because of an undisciplined work style, they never act upon. And so their employees never know, and they never feel it. And I bet it's the same way in families, and I bet it's the same way in friendships, that we think good things for others, but we don't act on them, so they never know. You got to do it. I just recently had the sacred blessing of being a part of the funeral service for a man in our church named Tom. Tom was a veteran. He served in Vietnam. He was as good a guy as you'd come across, always trying to help other people, always placing a high priority on his family, always trying to bring people together. Well, Tom had this thing that he did. Every Veterans Day, he called other veterans and he thanked them for their service. He thanked them. Even towards the last years of his life, when he really wasn't feeling well at all, he still did it. He just did it. A lot of people thought about veterans on Veterans Day. A lot of people thought about, wouldn't it be nice to do something? He did it. He did it. Friends, that's what we've got to do. We have to learn to think good thoughts. We have to study the life and teachings of Jesus Christ to learn what good is and what love looks like, and then we have to do it. So I want to challenge you today to do one of two things. One, I want you to ask yourself, have I become a victim, or not a victim, but have I become gripped by constant negativity? If so, I want to challenge you to change your thinking. I want to challenge you that when you see that happening, just get off that path and get on a new one. You don't have to beat yourself up about having gone down that path. Just move over to the other path, the path of thinking about what's good and right and noble and pure. And then secondly, I want to challenge you, do it. Those things you think about that are noble, right, good, and pure, do it. Do it for a day. Do it for a week. Do it for a month. Do it for a year. Do it for a lifetime. See the difference it makes. I know that others will see it in you. And whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope I'm blessed enough to cross your path soon. God bless you.